Okay, welcome back. Learn laws of Pesach, holding in section 431, halacha 6. We previously learned, today's a little bit of a continuation from yesterday. So we learned that when you come home, first of all, the importance of why we check in on the day before, the night before the 14th. So it's the night of the 14th. So Yud Gimel, the 13th at night, which is the night of the 14th, and we learned that we don't do it right away. We had waiting for it to be dark a little bit, because we want the benefit of the candle. We want to maximize the light of the candle, but at the same time, there's certain restrictions of what we should do in between. So we learned that you shouldn't learn, you shouldn't eat, you shouldn't start eating, because there's all these concerns that you might forget to check for chametz. So if somebody forgot and didn't check the night of the 14th, and he remembered in the 14th in the daytime, so again, he's still not allowed to do any kind of work, any other occupation, until he checks for chametz. So in 6 it says that even if a person was involved in any of the above mentioned activities before the time to conduct the Pesach, to conduct the search for chametz, he is obligated to stop his activity when the time for the search arrives. You have to stop what you're doing and look for chametz. Do the bedikas chametz. The ruling applies even when the person's involvement was permitted. The person began his involvement in the activity more than half an hour before the appearance of the stars. This applies even if he was involved in Torah study. For if he does not stop immediately upon nightfall, then even though he will search for chametz afterwards, it will have nevertheless nullified the ordinance of the sages, which says not to do any of these activities, who ordained that one should search for chametz immediately upon the appearance of the stars, where there is still a small amount of daylight. Even though one has yet to recite the evening Shema, and the recitation of the Shema is a positive commandment of scriptural origin, moreover, it is observed more frequently than the search for chametz. Shema is recited every day, twice a day, and there is a general principle that any mitzvah observed more frequently than other mitzvah takes precedence over less frequently observed mitzvah. Nevertheless, one must search for chametz before reciting the Shema and praying, and the rationale is that the search for chametz is a mitzvah whose observance has a limited time frame. For if one does not search immediately upon the appearance of the stars, he is characterized as one who violated the ordinance of the sages. With regard to the recitation of the Shema, by contrast, even though the optimum manner of observing the mitzvah is to recite it at the beginning of the night, one is not considered to have violated the ordinance of the sages unless you recite the Shema after midnight. So as long as you're doing Shema up to midnight, you did not violate the ordinance of the sages. On the other hand, when it comes to bedikas chametz, if you wait past Pesach Rechavim, the appearance of the stars, you are violating the ordinance of the rabbis. That's why it said usually a frequent mitzvah takes precedence over a non-frequent mitzvah. But in this case, since it's a mitzvah ivera, since you're going to lose by not listening to the ordinance of the rabbis, not doing it on time, and the rabbi said you should first do bedikas chametz, check for chametz, nullify the chametz, and only then you should do other obligations. Bruchim tiyu, and God willing, we'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock.
So we gotta remember.
Have a great day.
We gotta remember.